What's up, guys? Tugi here, back again, and today we discuss a few things, mainly Jimmy Vesey, UFC 202, and Liverpool FC. Starting off with Vesey, as this is a hockey-based channel. Is it Jimmy Vesey? Vesey? I'm going to say Vesey, or Vesey, or Vesey, I don't know. No secret, I'm an unapologetic Bruins fan. Obviously, you would know that if you've looked at my channel at all. And obviously, the Bruins were in the running from the moment Vesey made it clear that he wasn't signing in Nashville and wasn't signing with Buffalo once they traded for his rights. It is strange to me that he wouldn't sign in Nashville or even Buffalo. He'd be a great fit with some of the young talent that both of those teams possess. But once he made that decision, that gave us the big three: Boston, Toronto, and Chicago. Sure, he was rumored to go to other teams as well, like the Islanders were being thrown around, but these three teams were the ones that everyone truly felt like he was most likely to go to. Chicago? Well, because why not? Just honestly, why not? You don't even need reasoning, do you? Just say Chicago, and you don't need to wonder why somebody would go there. When it comes to Toronto, his father works for the franchise. His brother is a collegiate prospect as well. It's not exactly a mystery to see why he would go there either. And then Boston, his hometown team. He went to Harvard. Perfect fit, right? Regardless of who it was, regardless of who he eventually signed with, their prospect pool became massively better, or would have become massively better with Jimmy Vesey as a part of that. And that fortunate team just happens to be the New York Rangers. So, am I disappointed? Of course I am. The fans of the other 29 teams that he passed on should all be disappointed. But am I one of those people who instantly took to social media, Reddit, or wherever else to say, fuck Jimmy Vesey? No. And I think it's ridiculous to do that. Now, I might be called hypocritical for this. People might say, oh, well, if Vesey signed in Boston, you'd be praising him to the moon. Well, keep in mind when I say this, and, the fact that I've already praised him earlier in this video, the bottom line is, Vesey is no different than any other prospect in any other sport, really in general when it comes to hockey, and specifically players who sign from the NCAA. His future is a massive, massive question mark. Maybe he'll be a bust. Maybe he'll make a nice career out of being an AHL stalwart. Maybe he'll crash out of the NHL, but make a good living overseas. Maybe he'll be a regular NHLer in a bottom six role, or maybe he'll be the next big thing for the Rangers moving forward. It is impossible to tell. All I know is this: the Rangers acquired themselves one hell of a promising hockey player, the 2016 Hobey Baker Award winner, although some still say Winnipeg's Kyle Connor was robbed of that. And regardless of whether or not you think he's wasting his talents by signing in New York because of their lack of superstars like Chicago, or nearly guaranteed all-star prospects like Toronto has, it's irrelevant. Maybe, just maybe, and this is me spitballing here, he wanted to play in the biggest media market on the planet. Sure, Chicago's a huge sports town, a media giant. Boston, not too far behind. I would say Chicago's probably higher up than that. That's irrelevant. And then Toronto is the center of the fucking Canadian universe. How could he pass up on that, right? But at the end of it all, New York City, and this is probably not the best phrasing, but New York City trumps everything. And who knows if he even thinks this way, but if you become a star on a team in New York City, you can transcend your sport just tenfold, more quickly than you could anywhere else. In conclusion, who knows what Vesey wants or why he chose the Rangers, but he did, and best of luck to him. Next up, UFC 202, and I will say this, the background footage is going to stay the hockey game because I needed an excuse to get this footage up there as well. But UFC 202, McGregor Diaz 2. Now, I've mentioned it in passing, but I am a massive MMA fan as well. I've been watching and following the sport since probably 2002, 2003. Seeing Tito Ortiz and Chuck Liddell on the old Best Damn Sports Show period really sealed the deal for me. This event in general, spectacular. The undercard itself was great. You had 3 finishes on Fight Pass. Colby Covington and Lorenz Larkin looking great. Cody Garbrandt's star just continues to shine. He freaking finishes Takeya Mizugaki in 48 seconds, which is just insane. And I love when new stars live up to the hype, and he's doing that as well. Sage Northcutt, another one of those guys, gets put in the spotlight, stumbles a little bit, he's still going. Bottom line, I'd love to see these new guys, these new stars. Paige Van Zandt as well for the women, not to discriminate here. Bottom line, we get to the main card, and we have 4 straight finishes before the main event, 3 TKOs, and a 13-second knockout by Rumble Johnson. And then the main event. The 4 fights alone were great, and then you get to the main event, the main reason that I brought up this card to begin with. The main reason people would have watched this card to begin with, not that there weren't great fights, but this was the draw. And bottom line, McGregor-Diaz 2 was an instant classic, an absolute war by two of the best in the game. Not without its controversy, of course. Should Conor have won the decision? Maybe. I genuinely can't tell you, from somebody who has watched thousands of fights, who won that fight for sure. Round 1 was definitely Conor. Round 3 was definitely Diaz. One judge even gave it a 10-8, which is controversial in its own right. But the other rounds, good luck making a decision on that. Unfortunately for most, bias will dictate the opinion. For me, I'm a fan of both guys. I really am. I genuinely didn't care. Just genuinely didn't care who won. I just sat back and enjoyed the spectacle. And what a spectacle it was. McGregor landed so many clean shots, scored 3 knockdowns, but couldn't finish the job thanks to Diaz's legendary chin. And people have already said that McGregor had no intention of finishing the fight, but the lack of that follow-through, the lack of, finishing the fight after scoring those knockdowns doesn't come from, McGregor not wanting to finish the fight. It comes from Diaz's freaking just stone chin. The second Diaz was dropped on all 3 occasions, he never stopped looking at Conor. He always immediately focused on Conor to make sure that if he jumped in, he was absolutely screwed. He was going to catch Conor the second he tried to jump in. McGregor had no choice but to step away and, allow Diaz to get back to his feet, which was, in fairness, a better game plan for McGregor. And I mean, people criticized McGregor's game plan, his entire game plan, like, oh, how can he win when he spent so much time running away? Which, it's sad when people don't know the difference between running away and resetting the pace. Him turning his back to Diaz and generating that space not only, resets the pace, that allows Conor to dictate the pace of the fight, and also allows him to catch his breath because he was fucking gassed until he caught his second wind. And in this fight, do you value the back and forth clinch work that Nate arguably got the better of? Or does Conor's just insane? And I mean, my God, McGregor's takedown defense. Now, I know Nate Diaz, isn't this fucking Olympic caliber wrestler. He's not GSP, for Christ's sake. He's not Yoel Romero. But Conor's takedown defense in this fight was fantastic. And does that supersede, Diaz's clinch work? And I mean, and again, McGregor, not to say McGregor got completely dominated in clinch work. It was fairly even. How much importance do you place on McGregor's leg kicks? A game changer, an absolute game changer. Putting that into his strategy, implementing it well on crutches at the press conference after the fights because of those goddamn leg kicks, just ripping himself and Diaz's leg apart. It was just such a close fight, an epic fight, and I can't wait to see the third fight. And sure, you already have people complaining that Conor absolutely has to defend his title next, as Dana White said he will. And, rightfully so. Who knows? Maybe that belt's vacated and Aldo gets awarded it, or Aldo fights Max Holloway for the title. And of course, as you always do, you already have people calling the fight rigged, saying it was to set up the third bout. But if you can honestly say that one person decisively won that fight without someone being able to counterpoint you on nearly everything, regardless of who you're arguing in favor for. I'm not sitting here saying, I'm going to argue for McGregor. Like, I could argue for Diaz winning that fight and feel just as confident. But if you could just decisively say nope, absolutely, there's no way this one fighter clearly won, then you're a wizard, because my God, I don't have that kind of conviction. And quickly to wrap this up, Liverpool and the Premier League. The second week isn't over yet, but what an interesting start to this new campaign. Transfers galore throughout the league. Hull is 2-0 as a fucking promoted team. And then you have Liverpool. Now, I don't like to overreact, and I won't. I still have a ton of confidence in Jurgen Klopp despite some questionable tactics in the Burnley disaster. And yes, it was a disaster. Klein's rare mistake combined with the world-class goal by Vokes early on just doomed the team because for some reason they just can't break down a defense. In the Arsenal game, sure, you had goals aplenty, but Arsenal didn't park the bus like Burnley. And, I refuse to blame Mignolet. Could he have been better, of course. But the true issues with this club, the true issues with this club still lie with the defense. You still have Lovren and Klavan as a new pairing. Moreno. I rooted for you for so long, but it's nearly impossible to do so. To do so now. I will say if he stays, as is rumored, because Klopp doesn't want to shell out the big money for a left back, which I don't necessarily blame him because you kind of have no choice. If you look at Jonas Hector, and they're asking, say like, oh, he's worth 20 million, but because they know Liverpool needs a left back, they can be like, hey, 35 million, you got no choice. I don't blame him for being patient and not wanting to overspend. I will say this, though, if Moreno stays as rumored, I will continue to support him and try to put faith in him rather than hating on him and fucking putting him down at every word. Maybe he and Klopp can solve the myriad of issues that make up this massive issue known as him playing left back. That said, James Milner wasn't much better at left back in the Burnley game either, consistently taking the wing only to cut back on the right foot and reset the play. Bottom line, it's early, but you never want to drop points like that. 81% possession, and it meant nothing. Absolutely nothing. On the bright side, though, and a slightly different topic here, for both player and club, Christian Benteke to Crystal Palace, it's just never seems to be a fit when LFC get a target man like that. He, Andy Carroll, the style doesn't work for them. They don't get the ball to him enough. I mean, Benteke last year, so many times just not getting the service he needs to be effective. But he will make Crystal Palace an absolutely dangerous team this year. So good for him to get that chance. Good for Palace, and Liverpool regroup just a little bit of that money. But overall with Liverpool, like I said, I'm not going to overreact. Some people have said, maybe this will kind of be like it was for Klopp in Dortmund, where, he was hesitant to shell out the money. Things kind of went slowly, and it took him 4 years to win with Dortmund, which, hey, would be nice, but do Liverpool supporters have that kind of patience? Do you get that kind of patience in the Premier League? Yet to be seen. But again, 38-game season. We're only 2 games in. I'm not too concerned. This team will have time to work out the kinks. But obviously, I can see why people are overreacting when City and United both on 6 points already, both looking very good. So, I don't know. But anyways, guys, 3 very different topics with very different tones. Let me know what you think, though, on the topics covered. As always, though, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button to help support the channel, and subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll catch you guys next time.